Welcome to Rebelling, a podcast for people tired of wondering why the world doesn't make sense and want to try something different. On this podcast, we'll take it down to the foundations. We'll explore the systems and norms that shape our day-to-day lives, question what we've been taught to expect and accept, and name the bullshit. I'm your host, Amy Not Parrish. Let's stop playing it cool. It's time to start rebelling. Hey y'all, welcome back. Today, I'm joined again by Dana Calder, a queer neurodivergent SVP in the fintech world. We start the episode talking about sourdough starter and baking, which turned out to be a perfect entry point into our conversation about industrialized and relational systems. From there, we move through hierarchy, trust, AI, workplaces, and what happens when we try to use the wrong systems for the wrong things. In the podcast, when we say relational, we're talking about work that pays attention to connection, context, and the fact that people are always affecting each other. It's not about being nice or performative. It's about actually treating relationships as part of the work. And when we say industrialized, we're talking about systems built around efficiency, predictability, and standardization. Systems that assume people should be consistent, measurable, and somehow interchangeable. And what we keep coming back to is what happens when those logics get mixed in ways that don't really fit. A lot of organizational pain comes from a kind of category confusion. We try to standardize human experience like communication, trust, conflict, leadership, and then wonder why it starts to feel flat or performative. And at the same time, we take decisions that actually need clarity and closure and turn them into ongoing relational processes. So nothing fully resolves, but everyone stays emotionally responsible for it. People end up doing this really exhausting work of trying to be human inside systems that expect predictability, while also trying to emotionally process things that actually just need to be decided. This conversation is really about that tension and what it looks like when you start to notice it. Here's my conversation with Dana. So Dana is a baker extraordinaire, and I've already seen her today, and she brought me a loaf of sourdough from a new starter. Holy shit.
I'm telling you, it's like the Cadillac of Cadillac starters.
Because you're the same baker with a different starter, it's so fascinating. I mean, this kind of goes with what we're talking about, like with the right tools, in the right environment. I mean, that bread is amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ugh, the crust is crackly. It's light. It's substantial at the same time. Oh my God.
Yeah. I am super excited to bake with this starter. It's like interesting for me as a baker to think of, like, I put a lot of work into starting my own starter and felt very connected with it. I was like, I can't use another starter. This is my starter. I can't switch now. And then to be gifted it and just to see the starter just sitting first, just in my work office, just bubbling, like just actively. I was like, what is, I've never seen this. Like, it's just bubbling, taking it home, feeding it. And used to, like, it being in a certain temperature zone, thinking, okay, it's got to be 75 to 78 for it to like double, triple. This one, it's like 68 degrees in my little starter fridge for it. And it's just like doubling. It's just like, it's strong. It's versatile. It's like interesting to have the change and then to try something else. Like, I just came home from seeing you and we made cinnamon rolls. So we made cinnamon rolls before with my starter. And I took a bite and I was like, oh, what? What? Oh,
The other bread that you were making
Yeah.
was delicious,
Thank you.
but it was heavy.
Yeah.
And this was just, it's just fascinating to me because with the right, it doesn't mean that the other starter was bad.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that it didn't give you practice and help you like learn more baking skill. But having this other starter that is vigorous and bubbly, oh my God, and alive, and it just how it feel like the bread, you can feel the life force of the starter in the bread.
Yeah. It's like amazing like it just has a maturity, has been around, it's more established. And I was hesitant because I felt like, I don't know, like an outside label, like got to prove myself as a sourdough baker. Like it's a cop out or you're giving up if you don't use your own starter that you created type thing. And, it came from another baker who I've seen her end products and it's just amazing. And I don't think about the starter she's using. I just think about her end product and what she's been able to do. And she's used different starters. She's bounced around. I was just kind of like, oh, that's so interesting. So interesting to be willing to be adaptable and try. I was like, okay. And it wasn't until, she literally just placed in my office, like, I brought you some starter beef because I kept saying, no, I'm fine. But she literally just gave it to me. And I was like, well, now I'm going, and I took it home and I looked at it and I thought, maybe I'll dehydrate my starter, to be nice and everything like that. And it was like this moment for me of, it's okay to turn the page with something new. That starter let me practice and try techniques, and I threw it out. And I was just like, it's a new chapter. It's okay.
It's really funny because none of this is on purpose, but it actually lines up perfectly with what we're talking about, which is industrialized and relational systems and how, you get used to one thing and it feels like, well, this is the way we've always done it. We can't abandon this thing because that's not fair to the old ways and the old system. But also like inviting in something new and seeing how you're still you're part of the system, right? And so seeing how they go together in a different way, it's just it just to me, like that connection is just sort of like, my mind is like, that's so cool that this happened.
Yeah, it is. It's such an interesting parallel too, because I had slowed down on baking because I was just like, something feels off. I don't know what feels off. I don't know. It just isn't coming together. And I was just like, whatever. And then with this, I got excited again. I've made now like 6 loaves in the span of like Thursday because it's just efficient. I can do more, and I'm trying blends, not just bread flour. I'm like, okay, let me try an ancient grain. Oh, let me pick up whole wheat. I'm excited to experiment again. So it's really interesting when I think about systems, like you unlock one change, you make one different, and you feel a connection, excitement, passion again, to do something. And I always think like, that must be the energy people feel when they feel that they've been in a specific system for a period of time and they can't figure out how to change it. So they change one thing. It might be like, I'm just going to be in a new job or something like that. And it could be they're doing the same work, but the energy and connection looks different because something changed for that person.
Yeah, it's like, it seems like the ingredient that we try to change is ourselves, instead of looking not only at ourselves as part of the system, but at the system as a system and all of our relationships and connections in that system that we are in, not outside of. It's wild. And so you change your job, you look for something else, you like, what do I need to do to fix this? Instead of, oh, what's happening right now? What's not working? And then where am I being that human buffer to make the system work when actually it's like having a flat tire and then you just keep changing one that's still inflated.
Yes.
Like, no. Like, look at the whole car.
So true.
Yeah. What do you think? I'm just curious about what you're smiling. I'm curious about what you're thinking about over there.
How it's so interesting that sometimes the answer's right in front of us, but it takes someone else pointing it out who maybe we give them the expert hat or whatever. Like, we should be able to maybe see that that tire looks a little wonky or off, but we don't trust our own instinct. So we take it to a shop or someone else who wears that expert hat and goes, yep, you're right. Let's change that tire.
It also makes me think too, Dana, that like maybe that flat tire is new. And so you go and you say, hey, I think something's wrong with the car. It's not driving right. I think it's that right tire. And the person says, oh, no. That's a new tire. That's just not possible. We just bought that tire. You're like, okay, well, I mean, it doesn't seem like it's working, but all right. Like you're the expert. You know more about tires than I do. So I guess you're right. I'm not gonna argue with you because that would be disrespectful. Mm-hmm. And then we'll just keep limping along on this flat tire.
Yeah. I think that's really going to be turned on its head a little bit too, with that expert and just having that level of authoritativeness. We're in the age of AI where you can ask it questions and you come even more informed of, this is what I think I understand. This is the research I've done, blah, 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 blah. And now the expert has to take a step back of like, I kind of have to share and not just operate in the way that I've operated. So there's this level of disruption. I even see it with baking, as someone going, oh, well, did you show a picture to AI to like figure out what's going on, things like that. And even with that, like I started out doing that for baking. And then I started to trust what I was seeing of like, oh, but I can feel the dough. I can see the signals related to if it's ready to move to the next step. I need to just trust what I see more rather than needing all of this external validation to feel comfortable to move forward. So it's interesting. It can be a crutch for a period of time. So I think, to the tire thing, you be a crutch of like, think da-da-da, until like you've experienced it and you're like, oh, I've had that experience of a new tire just busting and this is what that looks like. And so, no, I'm going to speak with more confidence now. Like, I want you to check because I've had that experience before. And so I think it's like, if you haven't had an experience or you don't have something in your toolbox to make you feel a little bit more comfortable with that environment, you fall into the trap of thinking whatever that person's saying or the other, it's I should just accept it. I don't know better.
It's interesting that you brought in AI too, and I'm going to tie that into what I'm thinking about because the industrialized system is sort of like, this is the way it is. There is a hierarchy and you follow the hierarchy. And then you now have AI. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, we also need the relational quality of experience and of each other. And it's like we do all this work to like emotionally decide things that are the decisions that just need to be made. And then the things that actually need the connection and the relationality, we try to standardize and put into like strict boxes. I'm curious, this is like kind of a side quest, but where do you see AI fitting into all that?
Yeah, I think where I see it showing up is if it's not your area of expertise, or you just want to understand something, get your arms around it, or you have a difficult topic or conversation, it almost feels more comfortable to give all of those data components to artificial intelligence to have it form a starting point. So that you can come into the conversation of, I had a way to quickly research, I can validate, whatever, but it kind of gave me an informed decision or thought. And now I can put it on that AI instead of a human. Maybe I wasn't comfortable going to that expert and asking them these questions because either they're intimidating or they have their own frame of mind or thought or they seem obstinate. But now I feel like I can approach them in a situation a little easier because I'm armed with some starting point knowledge. That's what I'm seeing in terms of how AI is playing a part in systems and workplaces. But what I think is interesting is the connection, the human and that knowledge can be even more powerful. So my coworker is an avid baker. She showed me tons of pictures of all the things that she's baked. So I trust her more than AI telling me, oh, this is what you should do with your sourdough, your starter. Like I see the proof of her experience. And when you're literally handing me starter that you're like, this is what I use, and I've been able to produce this, and you're giving me tips at the same time, like, oh, this is what I do to my water in terms of the temperature, like very precise temperature. And this is what you're going to notice. And so and I was awkward. I didn't know anyone else who, like, in my realm was a sourdough baker that I could ask these questions. And I go and I apply these tips that she shared, and I see the results. And I was just like, and exactly what she told me would happen happened with the dough. And so that makes it more connected, relational. That thing we used to have back where we had mentorship, where you had someone who had the experience and was open and knowledgeable and go, this is what you can anticipate happening, because this is how it happened for me. And it might happen this way for you. And as a human, you're like, oh, thank you so much. Because someone's been there, the door's open, and they're sharing with me what I can encounter or expect. And in the age of AI, somehow we've moved away from that, or either something with the human connection doesn't feel as comfortable or comforting. And so we've found something else that feels less emotional, less friction, easier to access.
It's like I wrote down it depersonalizes the information,
Yes.
which actually feels like there's the cat.
I love it.
It feels like when we're trying to be in a relational, connective way, but then everybody is sort of guarding the way that they think, because we look at it not as just sharing information, but like, oh, if I'm wrong, I'm a bad person, or I'm bad at my job, or I don't know what I'm doing. And it seems almost like AI is the relief. I know for me, it's been the relief of like, I can ask as many questions as I need to, and it doesn't get impatient. It doesn't cut me off. It doesn't try to convince me to be another way. And it feels like what we're saying that's important is like each thing has a place. And that when you can, I don't know, it's almost like if you can have sort of a full circle of understanding from all the parts of the system, you can put it together and then build work that is adaptable, that isn't afraid of making mistakes, that isn't afraid of being wrong, because it's not about you as a person. It's about the system that you're working in and what you're trying to do.
Yes. And I think fear plays a gate here of, oh, am I being replaced if someone's using AI? Rather than, oh, this is so interesting. That's your starting point. Let's go further together. Like, let's look at all this.
Yeah, why are we so freaking helpless?
Yeah. We're like, how dare you? How dare you jump into my zone and you're using AI rather than talking to me? Ego comes up for humans. Like, ego just takes the wheel of like, oh, I am still very relevant. No one's saying you're not relevant. You still have that knowledge. You still have that perspective of whatever that domain of expertise you have. And you can inform AI in a way. It doesn't take away from the person who's like trying to understand your area and only like tiptoes into it every now and then. And is just trying to find language. The thing we could do is actually get on a video call or a scheduled meeting and talk and say, hey, I saw you're trying to find some shared language for this thing. Let's talk it through. What questions do you have? I saw that you put this together. Rather than being like, oh, you threw this AI note at me. I'm going to throw my own AI note back. Rather than, let's just talk. Let's figure out the mutual ground we could have here.
Because it seemed that we feel like if something, hold on, let me get my brain together.
Mm-hmm.
In the industrialized system, humans made into machine. Like, I'm a machine. I can do things the same every day, all the time, just like a machine. Then, this relationality has been here this whole time, but it's just like in the background. Then AI comes in and it's like, also humans not important in here. And then as humans, we just don't push our way to be a major part of the system, just like you're talking about. Like, okay, yeah, I see you got some information and now we can talk about that. It doesn't have to be one way or the other. It can be a both and.
Yes. But historically, we've seen change or some kind of system change, especially with technology, and we meet it with fear first of like, what is that going to do? Is it going to replace us? And I understand to some extent. We have evolved and created efficiency, and it has impacted work to individuals. But it's always a point in time, and then it opens the gate to different specialized work. But we're in that point again where we're worried, and we are seeing some negative outputs for businesses related to either the economy or disruption. And there is some specific change that happens. I get it. I used to sell textbooks and educational technology. And I was like, well, books are going to be around forever. Everyone's going to want a physical book. I'll always have a job. Then Amazon was coming in. And I was like, it's over here. Still not going to impact. The wave came. Now, publishing just had to change as an industry. They're still physical books, but they had to innovate of how do we do digital now? How do we change our pricing models? Because it can't be what it was before. The market is telling us we're not going to pay that. We have other ways to do things, and it has had to evolve and adapt. And I think a lot of industries are going to face that, where you're in your adaptation point, where things cannot stay the same. It is changing. And I was with thousands of people who got laid off by that. And I felt frustrated and like, okay, see, technology did that. But I found other ways into technology. And so I understand it, but it means that we have to figure out different pathways to do things, and it forces innovation.
It almost feels like we're going too fast to understand what we're actually trying to do, but because business is a race because of capitalism, that you can't actually take the time to say, here's this amazing thing. It could be really useful. How do we want to integrate this? What do we want to do with it? But because we're so busy trying to beat each other at innovation, it takes away the relationality, goes into the things that it shouldn't be in. Like, we're trying to standardize the relationality and then industrialize the creativity. And it's just, it's not working. I mean, and for you, like, my guess is, like, here's a bunch of meetings about the same thing. Here's a bunch of like work we're doing that somebody the other day called it vapor work instead of paperwork, like vapor work. Like, it's just vapor work. It's just, it doesn't really matter, but it feels important, but it's really not. And we all know it, but we just keep doing it. What do you think the pace has to do with it? Or what were you going to say?
Yeah, I think it's, at least in technology, it is the race to be out in market, to see what it is like to capture as much of the total addressable market of customers. Like, you want to get as many customers as possible, but what you end up finding out, like, you don't always have to be first, because yes, you can be first, but you have to balance, like, having a competitor helps validate your product. So you need both, but then now you have a competitor you have to compete against. So it's a balance. I think we've gotten to a point, there is like where we're doing trade-offs of, well, this is more important than this, rather than it is just as important. The relationship and the work, and be able to lean on that team member and have this level of trust to work towards a speed together is important. Because if you don't have that trust and relationship, then you're always in this threat mode of like, I just have to be very reactive. I can't take any time to plan because we just have to move fast. I think the organizations that stand out to me that do it better are the ones that understand we need some modicum of relationship because we have to work together. We're spending a ton of time together. And we have to be able to move through difficult conversations. And we have to sometimes disagree and have an iterative process of disagreeing to get to whatever the product needs to look like or the teams need to look like. And
yeah, what do you see? What do you see? I'm going to stop you. What do you see as, like, what's tension or conflict like?
Yeah, I think tension, it's when someone knows the right move or step the organization needs to make to unlock success. And you have someone that is on the fence with the direction. I say on the fence because the conflict would be they're completely staunch and think that they're correct, and they don't even want to hear the direction. But they're on the fence, and you can tell you could potentially sway them and have them come over to where you are in terms of where we need to go. But the tension is getting them to move in that direction. You're going to get them there potentially, but it's going to take time, and they have to process on their end to move in that way. I think oftentimes with that tension, you're thinking through, the level of confidence and the relationship you have with that person to be direct and honest. And if you don't have that relationship built up, you can't do it. And then really it is conflict.
And that goes back to the survival part. Because then maybe you don't even bring it up because you don't want the tension, because the tension could bloom into conflict and then you might be in danger.
Correct. And then if you think about organizations where if you ask the employees, they're like, yeah, I know exactly what we need to do to be better. They're like, well, why don't you? They don't want to hear me. They're not going to listen to me. And so that's where you're going the wrong way because all the answers are within the institution, but you refuse to take action. You're certain you need external validation. Could be through a consultant or another group. Like you want that validation. Like, oh, you've been here, 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 and you've talked to these organizations. So come and tell our organization. And then that consultant probably comes in, talks to a few people, and they're like, oh, yeah, I will elevate it to your leaders. The consultant could probably be saying the same thing that people within your organization are saying. You just paid someone to come in because you appreciate and love their credentials to tell you exactly what people within your organization have been trying to tell you.
Is that? I see this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I talk to people about this all the time. Mm-hmm. Managing up, influencing. Mm-hmm. How do you get the reality of what's happening in the business across to the people who are leading the business? And it's so fascinating to me that instead of going and listening to the people who are doing the work, who are in it and experiencing that work, that instead you would go out and hire someone else to come in to then come tell you what your business is doing. Because why?
Because we want to believe an expert. We want to believe someone who's built up their marketing, they've built up their influence, they've built up, how they're perceived amongst different individuals that you respect. You're going to listen to that person.
Hierarchy just does not make a lick of sense to me. I just don't, I don't understand why, like, oh, you're a this, so that means that I just need to obey or sit down or shut up or not talk because you know better than I do. That just has never, from when I was really little, I used to get in trouble all the time. But it seems like that industrial view of the hierarchy of the business, which is like, I'm the president, and so I'm the smartest. And then it goes down, and then the worker on the line is like, but what do you know? You're just a worker on a factory line. But actually, if you were in a relationship, you would be able to access so much more reality. Do you think that's why we have to go so fast? Is because we're just never in the reality of what's actually happening?
Yes. That's why. And the best leaders I've seen who can move through and disrupt the system in the way that organizations needed to be disrupted take a bottoms-up approach, and they listen to the workers, and they know how to pair their experience, their influence whatever they had on their resume to get them in the door and get the job, to shape how that individual who is the leader needs to hear it. But what I always value is the ones who give credit back and will elevate people along the way to go, yes, so and so gave me that great idea, and I was glad to see that they were able to take it over the line. We were able to build out this whole process because so and so led the charge.
It's the it's blur what I was thinking about is like the blurred lines of the hierarchy. And so if you have the person, the worker, for just the sake of explanation,
Mhm.
who is in the work and has a way of looking at things that could make things better. But we forget that as we move up in the hierarchy, we also not only do we gain responsibility, but we let go of responsibility. And if you're in relationship, you can, I don't know if this is true or not, but you can let go of the role of worker to be in the role of the person leading the work. But people up in the hierarchy are holding on to that they also have to know how to do the work instead of being able to let go of that to be a leader. Does that do you know what I mean?
That totally makes sense. Yes. The worker can inform the day-to-day, and they're so close to it. So they know all the nuances. And I think for leaders who move up, where the friction point comes is if someone goes, well, do you know how that works and how that could be fixed or thought of in the next 6 to 12 months? So now instead of letting them think high level about the system to improve it, you still want them to validate that they know the nuances of the ins and outs. You want them to do both, but that's not truly what you need.
Who's doing both?
The leader doing both.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
The leader having to think about the system and what the system should look like in the next year to 2 years. But you don't trust them to just think about it high level. You want them to also tell you all the nuances of what needs to go in, rather than letting them talk with their workers and go, here, this is what I'm thinking in terms of where the system needs to be. The leader thinking about the system for the next year or so. And the workers who are close to it go, yeah, I see where you're going. Let's think about this and build this out more intimately together. Here's how, this is my section. This is what I'm thinking, and getting in there. And then allowing that leader to have that whole plan rolled up and go, okay, I'm going to just talk high level because I trust my workers to carry out everything else you're seeing on this plan. And whoever their person is that they report to go, but I want to know about this little piece down here. No. Remember, I'm trying to tell you, and let's all trust that our workers can do all those little nuances. Well, I don't know them. Well, you don't need to know them. You've seen the output of their work. Oh, but I want you to tell me all the pieces. They're not here, but we've delivered.
Yeah. It becomes, again, it seems like it becomes relational in ways that it should not be.
Mm-hmm.
That the work itself is not the relational piece. But then we make it about trust, about not getting it wrong, about, oh, if we do this and then I look foolish, so I have to go down and micromanage everybody so my reputation doesn't suffer. Instead of being able to trust and not do so much work managing the system that we're plugging the work. So we look good.
Yeah, it's perception.
Yeah, a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it, which is that relational piece in a place where it doesn't seem like it belongs.
It's not necessary.
And then you have work coming down that doesn't understand the capability of what's happening in the day to day work. And so it feels like things just happen by magic.
Which they don't, because the workers have interpreted some of what has come down and they reasonably know what trade-offs they can do or what the realistic work looks like. And they move forward. Or they kind of give up, the workers, and they're just like, well, I guess if this is what you want me to build and you don't want me to question or give my insight of what's reasonable, okay, I'll build that thing.
Yeah, then you just end up with a bunch of yes people making a bunch of like slide decks and meetings.
Or, the worker did build the thing and then their leader comes back and is like, oh, thanks for building that thing, but actually we need to build something else completely.
Yeah.
But I thought I had mentioned to you, I thought we needed to build that thing, but you said build this. And now you're coming back and saying that thing isn't important. And now I need you to build this. They're like, make it make sense.
And it doesn't.
It doesn't, because you got too in the weeds.
I think the word trust is huge here. What do you think?
It is huge. The organizations that have high trust and allow their workers to interpret whatever their customers' prospects are saying needs to happen. They have their finger on the pulse of what's going on in the industry. They talk to their peers. They're excited by what they do. And they're like, you know what we need to do? We need to be thinking about this in a year. Like, they're bringing that back. And if you would just say, cool, yeah, let's do it. Instead of, I don't know. This is what I was thinking. There's this rigidness that's like, I want to be the one who came up with that idea.
This reminds me of both of my kids used to be on the swim team. My oldest they were both great swimmers, but my oldest was a really good swimmer. But the problem was that while she was swimming, she would watch the people in the other lanes and was not concentrating on her swim. And so they would take off and she would be out front, and then she'd start looking for people and start to fall back, fall back, fall back, be second, be third. Not because she wasn't good at what she was doing, but because she was so busy looking at what everybody else was doing that her focus was not with what was her thing. And I don't know what you think about this, but like, we forget that if we make something good and we're reliable, people will stick with us. That I don't have to be watching what everybody else is doing if I'm taking care of my people and taking care of my business. And doesn't mean you're not aware, but the focus is so dispersed that it just feels like a freaking clown car.
And you're distracted from just running your own race because you're so busy looking to see where they are in the other lanes. What's interesting, though, think about running and racing. And you're trained from the beginning, at least I was as a more leisure runner racer, to not worry about everyone else
Right.
because they have their own pace, they have their own personal record driving for, and you have yours as defined of what you're trying to accomplish. And you only have so much fuel in the tank. You've got to focus on that rather than trying to catch up to this other person who you don't know their story, you don't know what they're working on type thing. And running is set up, at least with racing, that you have groups by time. And so there's this comfortability, like it's okay. It's like right there in your face. It's okay to be these different pace groups. It's completely accepted to show up different and to be wherever. And runners can look like whatever. But in business and systems, it's like, no, we're not going to allow this level of inclusivity. We're not going to have all of these different groups and people and innovation and ideas. We want just what we want. But I will say the organizations that do understand that their workers bring innovation, different ideas, can potentially think differently, and you can supercharge your organization and the products that come out of it because there's difference. Those are the ones that are going to innovate faster and do well because they understand the power of their people.
I'm curious if I want to know what, like, as we're getting close to the end of our time together today. Oh my gosh, I just want to talk to you about this every week. Like, I'm gonna figure out a way to do that. If you were starting a company,
Yeah.
and you know the systems that are at work, you're very familiar with all of the things that are in play right now in business and in the corporate world.
Mm-hmm.
What would your system be like?
I think because I am neurodivergent, I know I operate very well with explicit direction and guidance. If it was my company and my interview process, like it would be so detailed, like exactly what the hiring process is, exactly what the job description is, what I think the day-to-day looks like, but I want to give room for you to tell me what you think your day-to-day looks like. Clear goals. This is what I'm thinking. So that way, when you meet with me, or if you had a leader that I hired, you meet with them, there is a core operating system. So I don't need to be in your weeds. I got other things that I'm interested in. You just tell me what's working, what's not working. It's how I lead today. I don't need to be in the weeds. I trust who I hired. You go do it. And if something's going on, we can talk, but I don't have time to be in your stuff every single day, nor do I want to. If I hired you, I probably don't want to do that job. I want to do the job that I'm doing. And so that's how I would operate and be quite honest of how I show up and how I think. Wouldn't hide it. I wouldn't mask it. I've chatted with people during interview processes and been pretty open of how I show up and why I'm striving for a coaching certification. And I saw this individual take a breath. Like, oh, you told me a little of who your authentic self is. I says, yeah, this is how I think. This is why I think this way. I think giving people that freedom.
It's almost, I wrote down methodology and consensus, which I love. I love both of those words, thinking about work. And the way that if you're clear and you're naming what's happening. I mean, for me, like you said, oh, I want you to tell me how to do, like, I want details, like, same. I love, like, and you're going to get to the end of the street and there's going to be a stop sign. And then you're going to go right at the stop sign. And then you're going to walk in the door and you order at the left-hand counter, not the right-hand counter. Like, please tell me. I love instructions. And if you're operating in that way, it feels like two of the hardest things are you can't say no period, really, but you can't say no to your boss is one thing. And be nice. Don't cause discomfort. And like you made a face. I feel the same freaking way.
This is how I
I'm
get in
like,
trouble because I don't like any of those things at all. And along with what you shared around consensus and just being clear, telling people what good looks like and what you don't like. And even for peers I work closely with, I'm like, when we worked on that project, I was expecting, help me understand. And it is not after the project has ended. It is like we're working on it together. And I'm like, hey, I want to talk about this aspect. Other people are like, ooh, can't you just wait? Well, what am I supposed to build it all up and not just tell you the truth? Who gains anything? Then you're going to think that I thought that was okay and that I waited. And now I'm telling you this rather than giving you the feedback.
yeah, why can't it seem? I just feel like it would be so amazing to be part of a workplace where no is normal, where tension is not a problem. Like challenges are good. It means that the work is dynamic and people are paying attention and are also willing to stand up for what they see and believe.
Oh, I like that.
No matter, but when you said clarity, the first thing I thought was, oh yeah, clarity is fine from the top down, but clarity up, well, you don't know what you're talking about. You need to be quiet, or you better watch out, because if you're clear and that goes against what's coming down, then you're going to get in trouble and you're going to be seen as a problem and not a team player. And when the big rounds of layoffs come in, your name's going to be on that list because you didn't say yes when you should have. Like what about truth? No wonder there's no trust, because nobody can tell the truth.
Yeah, because you're figuring out how to tell truth potentially to someone who you don't have a relationship with.
And you can't trust that they're going to take care of you if you tell them the truth. But then when you ask people, oh, well, would you want somebody to tell you? Yeah. Like, you say that, but in practice, is that what's actually happening? It feels like there's just all of these one-way stories that go on from both directions without the other half of the story, so we can actually have some clarity about what the hell's going on.
Yes.
So what's a good way to wrap this up? What's a thought that you're having?
I'm thinking how when you can have that level of team leader honesty, you can go so much further. You can have a relationship. You can have humor. You can enjoy the work together. It doesn't have to feel so heavy. It can actually be shared. I was thinking about how for years I've liked this place to eat lunch at. And the local people know. And someone newer on the team was like, said in our Slack channel, I can't stand that place. That place is bland. The food's bland. And I feel like I saw everyone's indrawn breath, like, what will she do? Oh my God, he doesn't like the place that she likes to eat. I just put a laughing emoji. It was like, you're probably right. I need to let that one go. You are right. It's gone downhill, but it's just a nostalgia thing. And they're just like, oh, she can take a joke. I like, yeah, y'all, I can take a joke. It's not that serious. And so it's like, lighten up, and let's have some humor. Let's realize we're human, and nobody has to live in the staunch right or wrong, and be okay with adaptability and seeing something from a different perspective.
Yeah.
Trust the expert that comes into your realm and wants to give you some advice. Don't refute it. Trust the person who gives you the sourdough starter that came all the way from San Francisco that is probably going to change your world and make better bread.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Change can be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're paying attention and remembering that you're part of the system that is working while you're working.
Yeah, I get it. It can be daunting to think about how can I create huge systemic change. I think of how I can bring a little more joy to my day and someone else's day at the work I'm doing. And then reminding myself sometimes, I'm like, am I doing surgery? No, I work at a tech company. Relax.
Yeah, we do take ourselves really seriously, don't we?
Yeah.
That would be something else interesting to think about.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, more conversations about this. I think we just scratched the surface of something really interesting. I just love talking about this stuff. And so I'm so glad that you like to do it too. And we'll talk about it again.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on again, Amy. It was just a joy and a pleasure.
Yay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to stop the recording. Many thanks to Dana Calder for always being willing to join me in conversations about business and work that are unconventional. If this conversation sparked something for you, you're not alone in that. These ideas are still unfolding, and a lot of what we're naming here is meant to be explored in real time, not neatly resolved. If you want to keep thinking about this stuff in community, I host Rebelling Study Hall on Saturdays from 11:30 to 12:30 Eastern. It's a space where we sit with these questions together, slow things down a bit, and actually talk through what it looks like to live and work differently in real time. You can find details for that in the show notes or at rebelling.me. As always, keep questioning what doesn't make sense and paying attention to what does. Until next time, keep rebelling. Thanks for taking the time to listen to Rebelling. You can find resources and links from this episode in the show notes or at rebelling.me/podcast. Next time, we'll keep questioning what we've been taught, naming what doesn't make sense, and turning towards directions that do make sense, all while we figure out what they are. Until then, keep rebelling.